This very well may be the silver crime of the year for the United States of America, as a man has stolen over 3,600 ounces of silver in a brazen act. We'll talk about it and more as we explore. It is nice that people see the value of silver. Stories like this, though unfortunate, does bring attention to the metal. In this case, somebody took off with over about 7 boxes of silver. In a story we're going to report to you from NBC New York, this is breaking news. A man who has stolen a package with about over $90,000 of silver bars from inside of a Long Island UPS facility. This is pretty amazing to see, and definitely a very well planned and orchestrated heist here in broad daylight. Now, we can kind of impugn some motives behind this, especially with how well planned this was. Could be an inside job. A lot of these things do end up becoming, and where that is the case, where there's some people are involved in this. And maybe for insurance purposes, who knows? But police are looking for and trying to track down a man who allegedly walked off with boxes of silver worth more than $90,000 from a UPS facility on Long Island. The theft took place at the UPS Customer Service Center on Smith Street in East Farmingdale on the 22nd of November, according to Suffolk County Police. Just after 9 a.m. that morning, the man flashed a fake ID at the store, then swiped the packages containing the silver bars. Wow, that's pretty brazen right there in broad daylight for this to occur. What an action this was. There were at least 36 bars of silver inside 7 boxes at the store, police said. After showing his fake ID, the man was able to sign for them, then load them onto his car and drive away in a dark-colored vehicle. Quite the heavy lift, both figuratively and literally. Now, they know it's a dark-colored vehicle, but don't know exactly what the make and model is yet. But anyways, Paul Zappalzondi, who is a coin and silver and gold dealer, said that silver is a very dense metal. It's very heavy. About 100 ounces of a silver bar is said to be worth about $2,700 overall. Well, that's including the premium, the sale price of it, but nonetheless, so he says together about almost $91,000 in silver was taken. Police said, with Zappalzondi said, is about 250 pounds of the pricey material. What an interesting description of it as a pricey material. It's just a very, very expensive proposition there, but it's a lot of silver for sure, but 250 pounds is a lot to get away with. So he was very brazen to be able to do that. Now, Zappalzondi said he ships silver bars often, but there's a strict chain of command. A strict chain of command indeed, and that is something, one of the reasons why maybe Zappalzondi may have to give over some material, some information, and maybe even be investigated to make sure it's not an inside job. He says, we use direct signature only, which means only the person addressed on the box can sign for it, he told NBC New York. That is interesting. Now, to finish out the story, Suffolk police released a photo of the suspect, and Crime Stoppers is offering a cash reward for any information that leads to an arrest. Those with details about the theft are asked to contact the Suffolk County Crime Stoppers unit. So that going to lead to, so apparently, obviously, the guy couldn't just walk in there with a mask on. Well, actually, you know what? He could, really. But if it's a photo ID that they need, how could he have faked that? Especially if he looks different. So maybe he had a mask on, in the age of COVID. I still see a lot of people with masks, which always makes me nervous because you can easily hide your face and not be suspected because of these times we live in where it's accepted that people wear masks to protect themselves from COVID. Well, at least that's what they say. But of course, we know masks really don't work, but that's another story. But a lot of people still see them, and so it's not really that suspicious. So if someone were to come in to sign for something and show a fake ID, and you can't see their mouth or their nose, and only have the eyes, and even how close are people going to really look if it's even a photo ID that was faked? So this criminal had to have known who usually does sign for it, and had to have been find his ID and somehow copy it. So it seems very, very well orchestrated and very well planned, and it makes you wonder. Now, folks, there's an overall message here that I think we can take from this, and that is to be very, very careful, because somebody is out to get something, and they really want it, and they know the value of it. Well, they will go to extraordinary measures to get it, which just means we need to be extraordinarily careful. I know this from firsthand experience, by the way, as someone who has been a victim of theft. So you have to be very, very careful. In fact, some people will say you're paranoid, but screw them. Better to be paranoid and be safe than to be a victim of crime, in my view. And I'm willing to go extraordinary measures to protect my belongings and those around me. So that's just it. It's pretty amazing to see what's going on with crime these days and how brazen they can be. I think a lot of people underestimate the criminal mind, but sometimes that criminal mind can come back and bite you. And in my specific case, it actually did come back to bite some of the criminals involved. In fact, one of them has suffered a stroke because of it. But nonetheless, that's another story. But crime such as this, in this nature, is something that is quite intriguing and quite brazen, that in broad daylight this had occurred. We often don't see this type of thing. We especially don't see it too often with silver. Why? Well, because it takes a lot more time and energy to get anything of appreciable value with silver. In fact, 7 boxes and the weight of those things, 250 pounds, that's a lot to be able to handle and to take out. And that's exactly what happened here. And they took them and they made it, he made it a getaway. It didn't look like he had anybody else involved, unless it was a driver. But we don't know. They're still looking for them. We'll see what happens. Could it be an inside job? You never know, for insurance purposes or what have you. But I would think if they were going to think that far ahead in order to get a fake ID that looked somewhat convincing, they would have thought about the getaway plan and what to do with the silver, and how to discover and find a way to make this thing work for insurance reasons. Who knows? But it's something we'll keep an eye on. A lot of these stories we never really get any follow-up from, and we may not get that with this story either. But nonetheless, it's intriguing all the same to see. But it just goes to show you that crime sometimes really does pay if they don't get caught. And, of course, silver being what it is, especially in bar form like that, well, it can be remelted. And if the bars aren't serialized, well, and they're pretty much scot-free, and they can just travel around and sell them if they want, or sell them on Craigslist. Who knows? There's ways to get away with it, because like gold, silver really has no identifying aspects of it other than serial numbers and types of pieces that you may have. Obviously, they'd be fools to sell it all at once. Luckily, they won't do that. They won't be that stupid, I wouldn't think, but we have had stranger things happen. Usually that's what happens. They get caught doing things that are literally stupid. They didn't think it through. And so, we'll see what happens. But if you enjoy content like this is what I do. I like to give you the latest news regarding precious metals, in this case, silver. And if you like to get the latest news, I hope you would consider subscribing to the channel and maybe pressing that thumbs up button down below if you find value in the content I provide here. As I do enjoy bringing you the news and showing you some cool silver pieces like you see on the screen here. about what a story this was. So let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. And I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. And I would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.